right, everybody, let's do it. We have our second track of the day here on the main stage at Tartu Startup Day 2017. And as this says up here, our next track is about branding. It's about your image and how important that is. And I read a great line that says you don't necessarily need great branding to win, but if you have terrible branding, you will lose. And it's a great thought to think about how to build your brand, how to get your brand somewhere, and then how to protect your brand so that it is used in the correct manner and communicates in the way that you are trying to communicate. Now, for this track, we have another guest moderator, and this lady, her name is Trine Kask. And Trine is currently the founder and CEO of a startup called Nevercode.io. And Nevercode specialize in continuous integration for mobile apps and in their development. However, previously to that, she was a researcher, she was a trainer, so Trine brings a fantastic broad knowledge, both from the academic side and from the practical, in the mud, getting your hands dirty side as well. So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a warm round of applause for Trine Kask.
Hello everybody, are you ready for some success? Then let's think of the ways how to brand your way there. So I personally believe that the brand is kind of the way how to communicate your story, your dreams, to the rest of the world via visuals. So, for example, I'm wearing the t-shirt of Nevercode. You see I have this logo here. You might think, like, what does this logo represent? So if we think about Nevercode, this is, our crazy dream about the future in a couple of decades, where developers are not going to type in text in order to create software, but they're going to talk to technology in a human way in order to produce great ideas and manifest them into reality. So if you look at this logo here, this says, slashes, which means in developers' world, that symbolizes comment, and then this ring with the dot symbolizes from ancient times, a rising sun, saying, hello, new world. This first programming assignment, hello, world. So we say, hello, new world. Okay, so today we are going to have some really amazing speakers to talk about what they think about branding and how important it is actually to not make the company successful, but on the way to the success, what it actually means to have a great brand. So our first speaker will be just an astonishing guy from Netherlands who, came to this astonishing, amazing guest idea about the brand for Estonia, but more he's the guy for the brand in Eindhoven. And by the way, he loves Estonia, so I will welcome on the stage Peter Kenti. And he will tell you what he thinks about branding.
Nope. It's always yeah? Can you hear me well? Okay. Good morning to be here in Tartu. For the third time here. Fantastic to see you all. I want to talk about EST. I reckon you all know that, so that's good. I want to tell you a bit more about where did it come from, the way of thinking. How do you think about brands? What you're seeing there on the screen are a lot of brands that I worked for in my working life. And they're very different. They're also very you could say in different domains, business to consumer, business to business. But the commonality is all, they all kind of have their own kind of free spirit. And that's what I'm always very interested in. And I want to focus you and open your eyes on the one in the middle of the top corner. And it was a brand that I worked on for a few years. So I want to go with you back in some, let's say back in history. So again, it's also a story, but it's a bit of history. And I want to take you back to the previous millennium, and your president referred to it, to the famous year of 1999. And we all know the year 1999 was the year, of course, of our dearly beloved Prince. Actually, the movie that he made, 1999, he made it in 1984. But it was really strange times in 1999. And this movie, I really urge you to look for it, Strange Days. This was one of the first plays with augmented reality, virtual reality. But why I refer to Strange Days? Because it was then the height of the first dot-com boom. Everybody wanted to do a startup. Everybody wanted to do business. Everybody wanted to do, sell his company, do an initial public offering. And so did I. So I was responsible for the brand of, the online brand of Philips Electronics, and I was asked to join a startup. The startup was called Ilse. And this is, let's say, how computers looked like in 1999, and this is how the homepage of Ilse looked like. So I became the chief marketing officer and also the chief technology officer. I don't know why they combined it, but don't blame me. And Ilse had to become remarkable. And the nice thing of this word is that it also includes the word mark, which is also an Estonian word. And why did it wanted to be, or have to be remarkable? Because we wanted to do an IPO. We wanted to sell the company. We had investors. We had people pouring in money to build the search engine. Because we were a first mover. The search engine was already created in 1996. So it was one of the very, very first ones, I think after Yahoo, to start like this. So you see it's also a bit like a portal, how the page design, but it was really, really ugly. And you can see the brand is also not very descript. You can also ask why the name, why Ilse? Now, Ilse actually was an abbreviation, because it was stood for Interlink Search Engine. And Interlink is the name of the study organization of the University of Eindhoven. Eindhoven, where I come from, also has a really huge university, a technical university. Yeah, but what is Interlink Search Engine? That's nothing. So we said, when we built the brand, we said, okay, Ilse is also a girl's name. It's also, in Dutch, it's a popular name, in Belgium, I think also here in Estonia and Germany. The Dutch are, of course, orange, so the idea was, why not look at girls with, let's say, orange, red hair? Is that something to do? So to kind of do the opposite of, it's a robot, it's a bot. No, it's not a search engine, it has personality. And then the agency said, no, you should do something completely different. There's this other girl, that's called Pipi, or we call it Pipi Langkous, or Longstocking. Yeah, she looks very, very differently. Can't we play with that? And I thought, that's not really serious, if you take your company to the stock exchange. So we decided to make like this manga style. So this is Ilse, how we used her, the brand Ilse. And what I also did was, I'm trained as a graphic designer. I did marketing and graphic design. So we redid all the portals, all the websites, in a very, let's say, colorful, direct way, very consistent. With all these channels, we had Ilse Finance, and with Ilse Movies, and Ilse Games. And they were all kind of in one style and one look and feel. But at the same time, this character, so the brand came alive. And by using her as, let's say, for music, for movies, for having fun, for sitting behind television. They didn't have any flat TVs then in 1999, as you can see. For travel, for nightlife, and even for the scary stuff. This character was really usable. And everybody in the Netherlands learned that there's this Ilse. So you should go to ilse.nl. So it actually worked. We became #1 website by far in the Netherlands. Actually, that building is in Eindhoven. So I put the logo of Ilse on the building. So kind of to show, not put the name on it, but only put the face on it, which is really, really a clever thing to do. So then you wonder probably, how does this story end? Did it went from 0 to hero or what? But I'd like to take a bit, actually, what did we do? What was the theory behind this? And the theory behind this is that what I did was called contrarian branding. You kind of go for the opposite. And the human brain, the mind, really likes those opposites, the things that's the other way around. And there's a Dutch writer called Roland van der Vorst. He made a book, and he kind of shows you, how do you do this contrarian branding? How do you find in a marketplace, what's your piece of the action? How to oppose an existing strong company or brand in your marketplace. It's a really interesting way of thinking. And I think this is also from South Africa, but it's a fantastic quote. You all laugh because I'm different. I laugh because you are all the same. And it's a matter of perspective. How do you look at things? And I try to learn from people, learn from other people. And one of the most famous persons that you can, in our business, can learn from is David Ogilvy. David Ogilvy was the founder of an advertising chain called Ogilvy and Mather. And he, for example, did this quote: "If it doesn't sell, it's not creative." Because the creativity has to have a purpose. It has to add to the bottom line, or it has to create value. But the most important story that I learned from David Ogilvy was how he built his teams. Building teams is important, I know. And you have to find a balance. Just telling, we did in our company, we did the Briggs-Myers test to kind of see what kind of personality you are. But the lesson from David Ogilvy was like this. When there was a new Ogilvy and Mather company, he sent the head of the shop, he sent them a set of Matryoshka dolls. And probably not this one from Breaking Bad, so I try to avoid the Russian ones. So the idea was that the manager got the Matryoshka sets of dolls, and he opened one, and another one, and another one. And then there was a very little note, handwritten by David Ogilvy, in the final, smallest of dolls. And the note said, "If each of us hire people that are smaller than we are, we end up with a company of dwarfs." And that's not what you want. No, what you want, that if each of us hire somebody that's bigger than you, that you can hire, you end up with a company of giants. But it actually takes a lot of courage to take on in your team somebody that's better, or more clever, or more creative. But it's actually the only way forward if you want to survive as a company. Because bad hires have a really negative effect on your business, like the 80-20 percentage rule that was introduced this morning. So the learnings that I had with the brand is you could say, to explain a bit the words as I see it. And I see it like Jeff Bezos said, your brand is what people think about you or say about you after you left the room. It's more like your image. Is your image positive? Or do you like what you're saying? Or actually they're hiding behind your back. But that's actually your brand, is what people say after you left the room. And brand is also something visual. It's like logo, it's typeface, it's colors, it's tone of voice, etc. So there's a big role of design in building a brand. That's at least what I learned through my years. And in Dutch, it's a little bit of Dutch lesson. The Dutch word for design is ontwerp. And the word of ontwerp has a history. And the history is that it's actually like it's coming from the world of fishermen. Because the fishermen, when they threw the fish out, and then when they pulled them aboard, and then they took out the fish, then they had kind of have to re-entangle the net to be able to do it again. You could say this process of re-entanglement, and I think we all of us now trying to solve this problem with the Christmas tree and the lights. But this re-entanglement, disentanglement, that's actually where the design process is about. You have this complex thing, you try to take it apart, and by taking it apart, you actually can see where you can improve, where you can mend it, where you make it specific. And you can say, you can look at this like this, to saw a tree, chainsaw. But you can also look at the chainsaw like this. It's actually the same thing, but it's totally different in being connected or being taken apart. So this disentanglement process, it's actually really interesting. And you could say customer journey, buyer persona is also a way of disentanglement. How did my client see my company? Where did I first meet him? What does he expect from us? What are the touch points? It's also a way of disentanglement. So I want to share you 3 out of 4 branding wisdoms. The number 4, the curiosity, I will do that in my workshop this afternoon. So I want to make you a little bit curious. This is also a fantastic quote about curiosity. There are 2 rules for success. 1, never reveal everything you know. But that's really not nice, I know. So in the end, it's actually very simple. How do you stand out? Now, you stand out either by being better than your competitors, or you stand out that you're different than your competitors. So salience is the first of the three words that I want to explain. Actually, the term is called brand salience, and it's actually far more valuable than brand awareness. Brand awareness means people know that you're there. Brand salience means that they know that you're there the moment they want to purchase, or the moment they want to get your service connected. But because the customer doesn't understand where you stand for, brand salience. So it's kind of the power to get to be noticeable. How do people notice you? So yeah, you notice this pencil. It's sharp compared to the rest. You notice a flashlight when it's on the public road. And one flashlight works fantastically. But I once had a boss, and he once told me, he said, Peter, you never should put flashlights among the flashlights. That doesn't work. Then it doesn't get noticeable again. This is New York. So if you're a brand in New York, how do you stand out in such an environment? So you have to do other things that people get noticed. Maybe do things like that, what TransferWise did. So played a little bit of sexy guard. They got themselves naked. They went on sleeping trousers and pajamas in New York to get noticed. And look where they're now, TransferWise. And when they were in London, they did some other stuff. They played more with language. The second one I learned from my experience is perspective. You have to see things from both sides, from the sender and from the receiver. So the perspective, especially the second one, is the point of view. The point of view is different. These are 2 points of views. Both are looking at the fish. And you see the cat looks very differently at the fish than the baby. But there's one fish, 2 points of views. Also, Hollywood is really good at that. Hollywood has this trick that they kind of always film somebody over the shoulder, where the one in front is, let's say, a bit blurred, so that your eyes can go to the guy. That's actually the light is upon, and that's sharp, that's in focus. So this Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, it's a fantastic dialogue, constantly switching between those different perspectives. And this is actually the perspective that Strange Days tried, to actually see the first-person view of what your eyes actually see. That's a very strange perspective. So directly, in this case, a catcher in the hongball pitch, how does he see? Maybe it's a really interesting view. How is it to be Max Verstappen and driving the Grand Prix Formula One? What does his eyes see? What does his hands feel? That's actually the emotion that you really try to get across. And you get things across by doing a good user interface. And it's not called user interface for nothing, because the user is the one that you have to deal with. So for some brands, the user interface, that is your design. Not the colors, not the logo, but how something feels and how something acts, which adds a lot of value to in the end, also to the brand, but also to the company. And the third one, I think, it was also addressed this morning, is courage. It really takes a lot of guts, not I say to be the CEO or to be the leader, but it also takes guts sometimes to do the opposite, to make a brand for a startup with a little girl's face, instead of making it more technical or something eerie. And this girl kind of opposing the police, doing her lipstick in such a predicament, I think that's something of real female courage. But you need that. You need leaders that kind of show you the opposite way. And this book recently came out. It's called The Misfit Economy. And why is it really interesting? Because the reader, it's a lady, Alexa Clay, she looked at the world of, don't mind me, of drug dealers, of pirates, of gangs, of hackers. But they actually also have business models. I think drug dealers are really good at sampling, and then later get you hooked, and then you're their client. But it's actually a business model. The mafia, and I don't mean the Estonian mafia, but the real mafia, they tried franchising already in the 1930s. Hells Angels is also a franchise model. So this book actually looks what is the very disruptive way to build a business. What can we learn from the misfits? But it's also kind of a perspective. Learn from other people. They want to share with you. And McDonald's learned, because McDonald's actually is from Chicago. So I'm not saying that's connected, but you know what I mean. Now, to end my story, so you're hopefully a bit curious how our Ilse story went. When I came to Ilse, we were 12 people. At our peak, we were at 150 people. And after some cock-ups, we were at 60 people, and that was in 1.5 years. So that was a really roller coaster. So what I did, I shared my knowledge. I wrote a book, and how this experience was, and what the role was also of web design in making a really good site. To my great luck and positive, the book was kind of published internationally. But our Ilse initial public offering, no. But. We sold the company just in time. We were acquired by a company called VNU. VNU were acquired by Sonoma from Finland. So in the end, everybody got their money, everybody happy. But we also learned that the failure rate of a first mover is actually very high. And the failure rate of a company that is an improver, that already picks on something, is far less. And we had trouble with this improver, which was called Google. And this is actually Google in 1999. There were 50 people, with Mr. Serge Brin and Mr. Page present. And you could say, okay, is this then the best, let's say, pretty website in the world? No, but it was a contrarian website, another one. So I want to finish off with this one. You could say, what the heck, Google? I don't need Google. My wife knows everything. And that's true. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, for all these points. Maybe you can, elaborate on the issue that very many starting companies are having. They have this idea, they have the vision, they think they've got the branding, but no awareness, no all of these points that show that brand is successful. So what is, this one source that they can really check to and kind of like, in order to understand, is it going to be a successful brand or not?
Nothing. What I learned is that usually the branding part comes too late in the process of building the startup. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to have the guts that when you start, you already have somebody that is, let's say, connected to the brand. You also have companies where the CEO is the brand, because there's such a outspoken leader or a specific personality, that also happens. But if you don't have that one, I would really urge people to very early in the process to bring somebody on board, because the lesson of Ilse was, I had to rebrand it. So it took effort to take all old logos off, to take all views of customers of Ilse off, because they had a different mentality, not the one that I really wanted them to have with the brand. So when I was actually brought on by Ilse, by the investors, because the CEO was the typical student guy turning entrepreneur, and he was only about typing code. And he was not the one about how do I build a brand. So together we get a fantastic collaboration, but you need somebody that's the custodian of the brand. Mm-hmm. And I think that role is really important. Who is your custodian of the brand?
So if we look at, for example, you came to this amazing idea of this just astonishing branding for Estonia, if everybody knows, about this. And it went viral. People were wearing T-shirts with, we're the best, astonish yourself or fantastic, and all those like usage of this est concept. And then Estonia kind of introduced this brand of stones and this Aino font, and it felt like, oh my God, what just happened, Did you follow this process, and what do you feel, kind of like your really brilliant idea of this simple, genius idea of just astonishing concept, and then these stones and this complicated concept, how did it make you feel from the branding perspective?
No, the thing I tried, when I did the astonishing, I kind of almost made it brand neutral. So I used the very simplest of typefaces, just the Adobe Myriad, so more normal than there's nothing like that. So what I learned is that branding is one, but it's the other word, turundus. And the turundus, that's the one that's really the most important. You have to market your brand. And so brand is the image, but this image can be changed and and marketing can also be done by public relations or by public speaking or by blogging or whatever. So I understand that Estonia wanted to also have their own visual style, so you can have a discussion about the style. But I still think they can do marketing. And I think this focus now on everything and e-services, e-digital, I designed for Kaspar Koyos the est coin. Because I think it's just a simple idea of to do an initial coin offering, but also the coin has to be branded. And he didn't, let's say, I don't probably think he didn't think about it, but I did think about it. So I think that is the part that you need. It's branding, but also it's the activation of the brand.
Yeah, indeed. All right, thank you, Peter. And let's give it a round of applause. Wasn't this guy just brilliant? Anyway, we're now going to listen to a dad, to a brother, a hubby, a son, a service designer, and a creative director at Velvet Creative Alliance. So he knows a lot about branding. I mean, a lot. So, you know, listen and mark his words. Let's welcome on the stage Janno Siimar. Good luck.
Are we online?
Mis mõttes?
Yes, good. Hello.
Aga mul on
Wow.
teistsugune.
Big audience. So, I'm Janno. I have been a designer for 13 years or 14 years, or some people say I'm from birth, but papers say I'm more like a psychologist. I work in this company called Velvet. We were doing a training with Gleb, who is right now on another stage. And he said, people ask, do you know this company? So I would say, if you don't know it, it's more your problem than mine. So, about branding. I don't really prepare for these talks that much, but this time I did. I even went to the website and checked out what I was supposed to be talking about. And there was this paragraph, and actually it was said here today again, that design is important because good design won't save your business, but bad design can kill it. I disagree, completely. And I will try to explain why. First, there is no such thing as bad design. Somebody's going to kill me now, but I would say that there is either is design or there is no design. And if you do design, then you are okay, and if you don't, then you are screwed. In fact, about 8 out of 10 startups are screwed. The statistics say that 8 out of 10 will die. Some statistics have even better numbers, like 9 out of 10 will die. So let's look at that number. We can split it into 3 groups. So the first, let's say like this, yeah? So the first bunch of people are just born with it. We kind of all know them, but we haven't really talked to them yet. And the second ones, the horses, they work really hard to be on the second position. And everyone else is, like I said, screwed or dead, basically. If they're not dead yet, they will be quickly. And I would say, and there's some numbers on this, that this is all about design. Now we can put some logos here and say, like Steve Jobs was a unicorn, or maybe even the unicorn with 2 horns. Maybe Tesla And the second one is really hard because you don't really know, are they really talented or are they working at it really hard? But you could say that Samsung is doing okay, but you see that they are working really hard. And the rest, who knows, who cares? I care. I really deeply care about the last 8. Because you know how industry will be disrupted. It takes the first startup to do a little thing, change something little, and then they die. And then there is the next one, changes something little, and then they die. Until the last one changes everything. So we need those 8 to be there and to die. So, an example. This is a pizza guy. It's an interesting thing I learned about world yesterday. So if you Google a picture with a guy with a pizza, you don't find a guy without a uniform. We don't really take pictures about ordinary people walking with a pizza because it gets delivered. And the delivery guy, that's a very simple kind of a startup. You just go and work at the pizza place. And just a couple of years ago, every place had their own guy who would deliver the pizza to you. And then you see these guys being put together and get some services that would deliver more than one place's pizza to you. And then you get the big Tartu startup. Well, we can call it a startup. Each of them kind of killed the last person's business model or business. They either killed it or they bought it up. But then there is a new player on the market here, is Wolt. Now, I would say that although the Wolt logo probably looks a little bit modern than the Pizza Koju one, but they also have like 10 years between them. But the idea is not about having a prettier logo. The idea is that the brand is the service. So you can't really just rebrand something. You have to redesign the whole service. So this is the context. We have always been like this. We have, this is not a modern man. This is like from the 60s. Might be different clothes and a different, no, the couch is the same, but the remote control is new maybe. We're lazy and we want to get food. And the easier it gets, the more likely we will order it. To the point that some cities, some apartments don't have a kitchen anymore. Or we are talking about, you know, like there is a car sharing service. People are talking about fridge sharing services. So the context for these brands is how close can this service get to this guy who will pay for their services. So I would say that the design is a mindset and no design is a choice. You just choose not to do it, either as a choice or just out of ignorance. but it's not destiny. You're not screwed yet. I have 3 do's and don'ts that maybe illustrate better my points. So do design for the full service or experience and the brand as well. But don't do them separately. And don't just do your stuff and then hire somebody to promote it. You are the brand, the service is the brand. And when you struggle, ask for help. And the help, if you're asking for help, not just hiring somebody, then you get a lot better results. What we tend to see is just more energy. More energy doesn't make anything better. Better ideas make things better. The last one is very important, is get inspired or get the inspiration from your clients or users. And don't just decide, I'm going to do this because I know how to do it, and then I blame the market or the user when they fail to buy. It's actually a quote. The user failed to buy my stuff. For startups, it's very important. There's a lot of mentors in this room probably today. People who mentor startups in different places. And I have been one as well a lot. The problem is that when it comes to technical stuff or finances or how to pitch or stuff like that, then yes, listen to your mentors and like really listen to them. When it comes to your clients, they don't know anything. I don't know anything about your clients. And you don't know if you don't ask. So just go outside and ask them. There's one exception to this rule. If you are a unicorn, then you don't need to do any of that. Just do what you want, because that's how we find out what works. It's people who just have a go. If you're doing it for other people's money, then you just have to be very sure that you are a unicorn, because we sometimes feel like one. But sometimes we just are not. Now, if you ask how a designer can help, like an outside designer can help, then the unicorns are tricky people to help, because they usually work outside the norms, and we don't know how to really help them. We can just take orders, maybe. But it's very inspiring to work alongside them. What we want to do is help make horses out of roadkill. Take these non-design things and help them be the little friends that help you work hard. So if you don't feel like a unicorn, go talk to a designer. Or read this book, which you can buy online. And if you want a discount, you come talk to me.
Great speech. So, a couple of questions. So, you have worked with very many different clients, right?
Yes.
And you probably already have some sort of like, let's say, 2 boxes, like a great client and a disastrous client. Mm-hmm. What are, let's say, the characteristics where you can say, you know, that this client is going to succeed with the brand and this one not?
Okay. Well, I can't really say that I know from the start that these guys are going to fail. 2 reasons. One is If they fail, I fail. If they are my clients, so I have to believe in them. And the second reason is that if they are already doing something with design, then they are on their way to do good things. So yes, I know difficult clients. I know people who will be a headache, but that's there is also a lot of clients that do all of this kind of unwillingly or forcedly. But it's that's not a problem. That's everyday job.
But how much, should a startup, for example, who does not know very many things about branding and designing, and they do trust, for example, you as an advisor and outsourcing their kind of like, branding creation, how much should they be listening to their inner voice and how much should they be listening to your advice? What is the ratio now,
100 to 1.
100 to 1.
No, depends what the voices are saying. There's a saying that just because they are voices doesn't mean they are not telling you the truth. So it's the thing is that I think there is a notion that a designer is somebody that you go to and ask them for help and then they help you. It's kind of a wrong way to do it. It's the right way would be to work with the designer, so you're listening to the voices together. And I have my voices and they have their voices, and we make a little band and see if the songs are good, then everybody wants to listen.
So you're trying to find out similar voices, Let's exclude the voices that don't sound similar, and let's take this one that sounds.
Bass and the treble, yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Janno.
Thank you.
Well, so now we're going to listen the story of Estelon. Estelon is I think in my mind, if I look at this, their brand and their design, it's amazing. It tells so many things about the way this company wants to run itself and where they want to go. Estelon has won really very many different international prizes and awards. So this kind of strong brand definitely needs strong leadership. So I'm honored to welcome Alisa Vasilkova to the stage.
Hello, everyone. So let me tell you a story today. So there was a little boy who loved music, even tried to play a musical instrument. And he loved to break radios and speakers. And he actually broke quite a lot of radios and made them better. And he decided to go further and studied electroacoustics and ultrasound. So many years later, in 1983, he actually built the first loudspeaker that went to production. At the same time, he had 2 little girls at home. So the one on the left, this small and fat kid, that's me. And the other girl is my sister Christina. So as you can see on the picture, we also love to break radios and speakers. And this is who we are today. So it's a father with 2 daughters building world's best loudspeakers. Well, we actually don't say that we do world's best loudspeakers because we are from Estonia, and usually we say that they're quite okay, they're not bad. But, well, let's say they're one of the best loudspeakers. So the story is that our father had already more than 25 years of experience in building different speakers. And he had a dream of building world's best speakers, to finding a way how to get the best sound from a speaker. And he started playing with different materials, different shapes, different components, and he actually found something. And me and my sister, we really believed that, yes, he can do that. I remember that when pitching first times to other people and saying that, yes, we'll do the world's best speakers, they were asking, how do you know? We just know. It's our father. He told us. So basically, it was as simple as that, because we didn't have any proof at that moment. But where does our story actually begin? It was Sunday breakfast with the family, pancakes, coffee, as usually. And our father, Alfred, he brought something from his basement, because this was a secret project. This was really developed in our house basement. And he brought it to the kitchen, and we all looked at that, and the design concept was proved. So we decided to actually set up our own company, not to sell the idea to other companies as our dad did before, but actually started ourselves. So 3 months later, after many brainstorming sessions and lots of beer, we figured out the name Estalon. 3 months after that, we had the first prototype ready, and we launched our speakers in Denver, in US. So this is not really a traditional speaker. If you think about speaker, that would be probably something, a box type speaker. So this was something really different. And it is not just the design. So the idea or the concept of the speaker is actually to be functional design. So it's built from inside. Every square centimeter here can be explained why it is made like this. So every line, every shape, every curve, every volume has its purpose. So, and then just a little bit extra and the design was ready. Yes, it was something special. We were noticed immediately, so we received CES Innovations Award. CES is world's biggest consumer electronics show in Vegas that happens every year in January. We were surprised. We thought that we will start a business that we will do in our garage, basically maybe 1-2 speakers a year, but people happened to love it. And even luxury magazine Rob Report noticed us, so a sonic work of art. So we realized that we will have to start bringing new models to the market. So we have quite a few of them, 7 altogether, so they're all for different room sizes. How many of you know the price point of Estalon? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, so I can still shock most of you today. Good. So the cheaper model starts from 17,000 euros, and it goes up to 170,000 euros, and actually our latest edition that I will show you later costs even more. So why is it so crazy expensive? Think about musical instruments, the best violins in the world that cost millions. So it's basically like building a musical instrument. It's all handmade. The production process is from 5 to 12, 14 weeks. So it's really something where you pay attention to every little detail and you can't miss it. So basically, you see the shape is similar on all our models, because as I explained, there is a function in this shape. So we did many different models, and this was finally our flagship speaker, Estalon Extreme. Many, many awards. So as I started the presentation today saying that, yes, we are the best, but we usually don't say that, but luckily everyone else says that. So we have Product of the Year, Loudspeaker of the Year, Cost No Object category. And the most important one for the extremes was CES Best of Innovation Awards. And it's best of, it's not given out every year, it's only when there's really a very big innovation in this industry. Also Red Dot Product Design Award, constant presence in media. And then we realized that we are actually not just doing a product for people who understand technology and audio, that there's also another target group for us, which is luxury or high-end lifestyle. People who don't only care about the quality, but also need a story, a brand. So we started working in this direction, and I think we've been doing that for the last 3 years, focusing really on the brand. And it's very important where your product is presented and how it is represented. So we started looking for partners or other brands with whom we could display our product. And here is, for example, Bentley Furniture Boutique in Moscow. Here we have speakers with matching color of AMG, so this is MG Boutique. So why would people need speakers in a color that matches their car? I don't know, but we've had requests. And this is the recent project that we did that actually really gave us a lot of very good PR. So this is, you can recognize there's Rolls-Royce standing next to speakers. And this is a product demonstration at Burley House in UK, where there was a Rolls-Royce rally, annual rally, where 1,000 Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars and 10,000 owners gather to see each other, to show their car and so on. So we took this really seriously. So when we got this invitation to present our product at this event, our father, Alfred, he was like, okay, I can't just go there with the product that we already have. This must be something special. So one agency arranged a visit to Rolls-Royce Museum and Archive to actually learn about the brand, about the designs. And Alfred got inspiration to add some details to the speaker. And it really worked. When we showed it there, then people immediately said, oh, you got the details. So this is really, really important to find other brands to actually show on which level you are when you come from nowhere and you have no history and no heritage, basically. So we are only 7 years old today. So my point in this story was that, first of all, what helped us was making something different. So this was not a regular speaker that everyone was used to see, and we decided to do something extremely good. And we didn't look at the budget. We said, let's just do the best thing, and then let's see how much it will cost. So we really went to the top immediately, because I think it's very difficult to actually compete in a middle class or lower class. So the competition is too big. You can't compete with Sony or Yamaha. It's crazy. We don't have that budget. So we thought, let's do something different so people will notice us. And so that's why the design was really, I would say, brave. Then you need to create a story. And to be honest, when we started 7 years ago, we didn't know what is our story. We just did the products. We did them as good as we could. And I can say that maybe only 2 years ago, we realized that we do have a story. It's a man who dedicated all his life researching audio and audio equipment to build world's best speakers, and 2 daughters supporting him in this journey. And you really need to have a story Because we notice that many customers ask like, but what is your story? Who are you? And this is very, very important while building a luxury brand. And number 3, very important thing is building trust. And again, you can't build a brand with 1 year or 2 years. You really need some kind of history, some kind of track record to show that you are trustworthy and people can buy your product. Because who would invest otherwise 250,000 euro into an unknown brand? So this is what I think should be really considered when starting building a brand. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisa. A couple of questions. What you just concluded brought me to 2 questions, actually. One is, you know, sometimes when you build a very high-level brand, you still have those moments where you have, like, you know, business metrics or business reasoning clashing with the brand vision. How have you dealt with those moments, or have you ever had to compromise your brand?
Yes, when building a luxury brand, you can't really compromise. So let's say it this way. If we didn't care about our brand, I think our sales would be, I don't know, 5 times of what we have today, but we probably wouldn't have any future. So we have many customers who want discount. Every day we get calls, I want discount. No, sorry, we're not giving discounts. And the thing is that, yes, you can achieve very quick success. Let's say 1-2 years, you have great sales. But what happens after that? Everyone knows that the product is actually cheaper than the price listed. Then you will start seeing second-hand speakers appearing on the market, so no one of the new customers will want to buy from you. So we have to say no basically every day. And this is tough. Sometimes you see, yes, I need money, but let's better wait. Maybe we can manage.
Awesome. Second question, how much do you compare yourself with competition?
Well, not really, because we are so different. So we know what we are, we know what our brand is, so you really focus on building your brand. Yes, you have to be aware what the competitors are doing, but you have to see where you are stronger and develop that part.
Yeah, indeed, I totally agree. Thank you for an inspiring story.
Thank you very much.
So please don't leave.
Okay.
So we are finalizing this block. I'm also inviting on stage, please come back, Janno and Peter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Hey, awesome. Awesome block, right? Woo!